Cave Tools React. Today we're going to be talking about Civil War. The Captain America one.
It was a war.
The Abraham Lincoln one.
And it wasn't very civil.
No, it wasn't civil, but it was amazing.
It was amazing.
We always say it is wonderful or awesome, but this one was for sure amazing. Mostly, I'm not going to lie, mostly it's for Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And everybody all the outlets I looked at, all of the reviewers, they all said he was the best thing about the movie, which I don't disagree with, and he was awesome in it.
It doesn't take away from any of the other glory that the movie
Exactly.
deserves.
I think that overall the movie was awesome. There were a couple, I wouldn't say plot holes, but rivets, you know, some dents.
Yeah,
and there,
like
you know,
rivets in Captain America's shield.
Shield, exactly. Scratches after T'Challa, and there were a couple of jumps in logic, but overall, I thought it was an awesome movie. It was what I think Ultron should have been, I guess. Not necessarily the infighting or anything like that, but just scope of it. Like there was so many characters in this, and I thought they were all handled well. Whereas in Ultron, I feel like they tried to shoehorn too much into it. This didn't serve the story as much.
And you brought up scope. Like, it doesn't quite match up to the scope of, like, the comic book event that it's based on.
Right.
But it does have, like, this more emotional, like, scope. It feels, I don't know, like, lower to the ground, but also, like, it just huge impact at the same time.
Right. Emotional is a good way to put it. Like, it definitely felt closer to home when it came to those characters. Like, I felt like there was better stakes.
Not only that, but it levels the playing field for both sides of the argument.
Totally. And that's like, Stark's side definitely was more emotional. And spoiler alert, just in case we are going to go into spoilers because the movie was awesome. And you wouldn't be looking for this unless you wanted to hear spoilers.
Was in this movie.
Yeah, Captain America was in it. But like Tony Stark, I like how they still made him the villain like he was in the books. They still, like Dave said, they did a better job of making it even ground in this, but he was still clearly the antagonist. Yeah. And I thought they did a good job because I was a little bit worried. I was like, it's kind of taken away from the original story. He's more just doing it, for Pepper and stuff. But then as more things came apparent, with the death of his parents and the rift between him and Cap started to build, you could tell it was more of a personal vendetta.
Yeah, I thought that was such a good flip because right when he's just about to like be back on Cap's side and
admit he was wrong.
Yep, and then that happens and he's just done with everything.
Yeah.
Says, fuck it, I'm killing this kid.
Yep.
I thought that was a really good job. Like, I mean, you knew as soon as you saw that car going down the road and Bucky took it out, you're like, oh, that's Stark's parents. Like, it was very obvious. So, and they didn't really try to hide it, really. I did miss part of it. I'm not sure. Did they explain why Cap knew or how he knew?
No.
So he just knew that?
Yeah.
That just came out somewhere else in one of the
Fairyland.
Yes, and one of the other 13 movies that you should see before you watch this one. So like I said, there were a few jumps where I was like, really? Would that happen? They introduced T'Challa, and we mentioned Spider-Man, so Black Panther was in this. Talk about him a little bit. Did you guys like him? Dislike him?
I think Black Panther was done so very well, and I also haven't read jack shit about Black Panther, but I absolutely loved his character. He wasn't like this lovable guy like Spider-Man always is.
Right.
He was a very good foil to that. I loved it. He was so vengeful, but also you could easily identify with him at the same time.
Right. I think they did a good job of showing him as like opposite Spider-Man. Like they introduced the fun guy and then also the really serious guy. What did you think of Black Panther?
At first, it didn't feel very much Black Panther-y to me, just because, I mean, they haven't set up the character, so it makes sense. But as the movie kind of went on, it felt more like he was fitting into the normal role that Black Panther would fit into.
I was a little disappointed they didn't show too much of his tactics in this. Like he's a superior fighter. He has higher technology. They showed him a little bit as a rich kid, which kind of upset me a little bit. He's just tossing out his resources. He's like, look, I'm a king. I'm a superhero. I do what I want. Which the tone of it really fit the character. Like, I'm mad. But like I said, the jumps in logic, he was after this guy no matter what. And it didn't seem like he was thinking too many things through. And a lot of times in the Marvel Universe, other than like Moon Knight, Black Panther's the one that gets compared to Batman the most because he has contingencies on contingencies. And it didn't really seem like they played that up too much. But I still think they did a good job of showing the gravitas of that character.
Yeah.
Like, look, like they had a couple of nods, like him talking about the death of people. And I don't know if they're going to quite go the route where he talks to ghosts and does all that. But they definitely showed a good job of, number one, he's super. Whether that's with or without his suit, Kind of hints that it's without as well, because like he's doing amazing parkour moves, but like his fighting style clearly cat-like.
Yeah, and just his pure strength up against the Winter Soldier.
Exactly, like it showed he was able to run faster than him and Cap, to the point where Cap had to steal a car.
Yep.
The leaps and bounds he could go to. Clearly, the tech is more advanced, as shown through his suit and the end of the movie. So I think they did a good job of setting up that character, but not giving us too much, like you said. Like, they didn't really show too much about him. He was kind of there, he was angry, and he was badass.
And then we'll find out more when his movie drops.
Exactly, and I thought that was a really good job of seeding it, but not taking away from the narrative.
It makes you curious about his character more.
Exactly. It didn't feel shoehorned in. It was like, this character needs to be here. He's part of the story, but also there's going to be more to him. It's the same thing for Spider-Man. I guess we can go into Spider-Man. I thought he was fucking awesome. What did you think?
I thought he was awesome. He was Spider-Man.
I think the consensus is he was awesome.
I'm being told, yes, yeah, he was awesome.
No, same thing.
Same thing,
Awesome.
still awesome. His introduction was really cool. He's kind of like, it just switches and says Queens, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, I know where that's gonna be, and he kind of comes in, and it's like we all talked about. Stark helped him build a new suit. It showed him kind of, classic Spider-Man in the movies, at least, the crappy pullover hoodie, goggles.
Like this found footage of him just like trying out his first costume.
Yeah, he's like, did you see that on YouTube? YouTube's all fake,
Trying his best to hide it as best as he can, but he knows he knows.
Right, and I thought they did a really good job of making him, I think, more clearly the ultimate Spider-Man, rather than like how in the Raimi movies and then with Mark Webb and Garfield's take, kind of a mixture. This was definitely very clearly the ultimate Spider-Man. You got young Aunt May, you have clearly early high school Spider-Man, only been Spider-Man for 6 months. They didn't show us dead Uncle Ben. They didn't show him getting bit by the spider. It's a long story is all we're told, and I thought that was an amazing introduction.
Yeah, whatever happened.
He built his fucking web shooters. He's got superpowers from being bitten by a radioactive spider, I'm assuming.
And his aunt is Marissa Tomei.
Exactly. Oh, God.
And that's the best superpower there is.
I think we should watch My Cousin Vinny after we're done with this.
Yeah.
Just to,
Marissa.
I thought that was a really cool dynamic with Stark, especially just like the immediate chemistry they had with just him like winking, back and forth and, and
just
like
going along
play
with it,
along
but
with
terrible
it.
at it.
Right.
But it worked.
His quips were, I think, better than Garfield's and better delivered than Tobey Maguire's.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I it's always sucked comparing them to the other characters because there are things I loved about both of those guys playing him. But I think he's great as a young Spider-Man. I think he's going to be really cool growing up to be Spider-Man. And I even liked how he was a little hesitant, and I love that in a young hero where it was like, yeah, the reason I do this, and then Stark's like, to help the little guy. He's like, yeah, the little guy. But really, it's like, also all the things I was saying, like, I don't fit in anywhere else. This is the one thing I can do with my superpowers. And I thought that was really cool how it shows, like, yes, I do want to help people, but there are selfish reasons for me doing this. So I think not lingering on him was really good, but what they did show was really awesome.
Right, and then that just leaves him to grow a ton for the rest of the movies.
Right.
Next 12 Spider-Man.
And
yeah, however many they do.
And what'd you think of his costume?
I liked it. I mean, again, I liked it from the beginning. I do agree there are a few extra stripes here and there that I guess aren't necessary, but
it
is a spider.
Bother me.
No, exactly.
It's that Stark flair showing in.
Also, yeah, exactly. And also, it's like it's a spider costume. None of it's necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
very valid point, sir.
And then because you have Sam and you have Bucky, and they're like, "What's up with that guy?" They're like, "Oh, everyone's got to have a gimmick now," because he really was the only one wearing a literal costume other than Captain America
and Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther. That's right. And his even is still gimmicky, but also had more reason to it. Same with Cap's, it's all leather. Whereas in Spider-Man's suit really holds no use other than
hiding his identity.
Exactly, and it looks awesome. So I like that they pointed that out. Like, this is very gimmicky. I was a little bit mad. I guess mad is the wrong word. I was a little bit surprised. None of them had a Starky comment about 12 superheroes running at each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm surprised there was nothing mentioned. Like, oh, this is weird, right? We're doing this, Yeah. There's a couple little things in there. I guess Spider-Man was like, they're
not slowing down.
What did you guys think of that scene? The big hero clash. The really only part other than Cap and Iron Man fighting that we could call this movie Civil War.
Yeah, the big clash when it was like a bunch of little one-on-one fights.
Right. What did you guys think of that?
I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I also was afraid. It's like, oh my god, they're fighting! Don't kill each other, please don't.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job of showing this is serious. We are really fighting, but also we're all still heroes.
We're all still dear friends.
Also,
we all tried our best.
Like some of those moves, they had to calculate in their mind. Okay, is this too much? Am I gonna kill this hero?
Well, I love that line that that Ant-Man had when he's like, throw this truck, and he was like, oh, I thought it was a water truck, and it blew up.
Yeah.
I like how he was like, we don't want to kill each other.
Yeah.
And that's why it was such a big deal when Natasha and Hawkeye went up against each other. It was like, we're still friends, right? It depends on how hard it is.
It's like Vision tries to take down a building to stop Captain America. It's like, how do you know that building isn't just going to crush him this time?
Right, and
because Captain America is still just human.
Exactly. Well, it was. I felt the same way when they were pulling all the cars down on Tony.
Yeah,
I'm like, I know they know it's a super suit and that'll protect him, but what is the one too much?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's still a guy in a suit.
Right. I mean, look, Spider-Man was clearly shown to be stronger than everyone there. Mm-hmm. At least on par with Captain America.
In a way, it kind of felt like he wasn't necessarily as
that's what I mean. Like he was super powered, but not up to his full potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he was clearly shown to be able to take a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, he wasn't able to absorb each one. And then when Giant Man finally took him down, which we'll get to Giant Man in a second, he was hurt. It was like, I'm down for the count now.
I'll just stay down.
Exactly.
Yep.
So like you said, how did they know what's gonna kill and what's not?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they did a good job of showing at least this is a serious fight and we know what everyone's capable of. Like we're all friends. It'd be like Batman taking on Superman. He knows exactly what to do to not kill him.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a really good job of showing that each punch at least had to be calculated. They are my friends,
Scarlet Witch, you are pulling your punches.
Exactly, which I thought she straight up killed Natasha right there.
Yeah, just snapped her fucking back there.
Right, whereas in Rhodey wearing full suit of armor crashing down.
Yeah, God.
And we talked a little bit about that. So when Vision shoots, Sam dodges, just right out of the way, does a backflip move, and it hits Rhodey. They couldn't get to him in time. He crashes down. It was very emotional. But Vision really blames himself.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony kind of blamed him a little bit too. He was like, what happened there? And like you said, he was distracted. But, I mean, he was distracted before that. He still shot. And like you were saying with Wanda, he would have known that was a possibility, right?
Right. If he wasn't thinking about something else at the time or whatever was distracting him.
Gotcha.
Like you said, he probably would have calculated out all the potential.
Yeah, that would have made me feel a little bit better about it. Did make me when you kind of talked me through it like that. Because at first I was like, it's not really his fault,
Right.
But
in his mind, it is because of that reason.
Right.
In the aftermath of that scene, the first time I watched it, I got knee-jerk pissed at Tony when he shot at Sam.
Yeah, he took him down.
Yeah, I was like, look, you son of a bitch. He came down here to help you.
Right. But I mean, and that was where you started to see the emotion start to run with Tony, which I liked. Because, again, he was supposed to be the pseudo-villain of this piece.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, anytime you're punched by somebody or, one of your best friends gets punched and somebody that's on their side technically comes over to try to help you,
you don't
probably shoot at them with some
you see the red.
mean comment or hit them potentially.
Or repulsor.
Exactly.
And I understand that, but just knee-jerk reaction was,
oh
my God, you son of a fucking bitch.
Right. And again, it's because, no one saw both sides. You know what I mean? Cap was the only one with the full story, and he wasn't telling everybody. No one was listening either.
Natasha was the only one that really saw both sides.
And I liked that they, we were all right. She did switch sides. She wasn't necessarily a spy. Mm-hmm. But like Tony said, you kind of were the double agent, And I thought they did a really good job of showing, it didn't feel out of place. It felt like she was questioning this whole thing from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I did like that.
And there's a certain point that was okay,
we need
this needs to change.
Exactly.
Because at the beginning, she was all ready to sign on for it, but she was very skeptic about it.
Well, part of why I think she signed on, she kind of explained it a little bit more in that scene with Ross. It was look, this is our job.
Mm-hmm.
These are our bosses.
Yeah.
We got to do what we got to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it seemed with, like, Cap, when he first kind of fired at her, like, are you going to arrest me? She's like, no. But, like, look, they are.
Yeah. And, like, the whole thing with Natasha, too, is, like, all her life she's sort of played the field as a spy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, might as well see where this goes, and if it goes south, fuck it.
Exactly. And this is, I think she was uniquely positioned to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not, like, forgo it any farther. Like, Giant Man. We all knew it was going to happen. They kind of leaked it a little bit with the Mega Bloks. Or was it Mega Bloks or was it Lego? I think it might have been Lego. The minifig of him that was like
Right.
this
You
big,
mean
know?
one of them fancy erector sets?
Exactly. Lincoln Logs. There's a Lincoln
Connects.
Log set of Giant Man.
Yeah.
I like that they mentioned these. Like, look, I tried this once before in the lab, which I'm sure they'll get into a little bit with the next, you know, Ant-Man and Wasp movie. But I thought that was really cool. He's like, look, I got something on my sleeve. I can only do it for a little bit, so it didn't become too powerful. Why didn't you use this in the movie? Why didn't you use it 20 minutes ago?
Because
Yeah.
I passed out last time.
Exactly. If I get ripped in half.
I'm the boss. I'm the boss.
So I thought that was really cool. And that we didn't mention that whole scene, even though it was super serious and it was friend on friend fighting, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That entire scene had me laughing like the entire time, which was really, really awesome. I don't know, there's not too much we can say about that scene, I guess, you know, other than the hand-to-hand fighting between everybody was really well choreographed. I thought it was super positive.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning, I thought there was a little too many quick cuts when
And
it was
that might
kinda
have
showed.
just been the IMAX 3D.
I
'cause
honestly
was
think it
thinking
was.
about that.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even really keep up with it.
Yeah.
It was just kind of shaky.
Yeah,
But.
Yeah.
With IMAX, it always takes my eyes a little bit to adjust.
And also, like the beginning of the movie is way darker. Like that scene when they're fighting that we all liked in Germany, super wide open, super bright.
Yeah.
So we were able to follow that more. Whereas in the beginning with the car chases and people jumping around and Steve fighting with like smoke around him, that was a little bit
And like the flying drop kick.
exactly. You know, it's a little hard to follow that. I guess we kind of skipped over it too. What did you guys think of the new inciting event? Whereas, like, it wasn't so much the big giant thing like it was in the comic books where that town got blown up. This was more of a last straw kind of thing. Did you think that was a good enough reason for this to start, you know, all of the pins to start dropping?
Yeah,
down?
I can totally see it because it was more of on a global scale. It wasn't just that one country.
Right, it was dignitaries.
It was everyone going like, they're just running around the country blowing shit up.
Right,
And
and
essentially
let's put a
that
stop
had
to
just
this.
recently
Exactly.
happened when they really were talking about
Right.
it. So the Sokovia Accord was way in the works before that was happening.
right, they were already thinking about it, and this was the final thing to get everyone on board.
And then Tony was like, "We really need to get on board with this," and that's
right, and I
Not
think
at all. I
honestly,
think
it was Wakanda finally jumping in,
Yeah.
the country that no one knows about really. They, you know, they very rarely leave. Their dignitaries were out on a peacekeeping mission, and then they get blown the fuck up. You know,
And I loved how it sort of like hinted back towards the comics with the woman meeting Tony and like yelling at him about her son.
right? Which specifically, and we'll get to this point here in a few minutes. I hate to keep doing that, but that woman is actually playing another character in the Luke Cage show.
Oh.
Which is a little upsetting just because there's not a lot of synergy there. But like you were saying, well, I'll get back to that. Like you were saying, you know, they did touch on a few of those touchstone moments. You know,
Yeah.
there is the inciting event. You know, you do have the infighting already between Cap and Tony starting to disagree. You know, you have that emotional resonance. I believed everything, and I thought they did a really good job of, again, seeding all of these new movies without feeling it shoehorned in. Like Ragnarok's spot in Ultron felt like, why the hell is this here?
Yeah.
It didn't ruin the movie, but from what Joss Whedon has said, that kind of took a lot of momentum out of some other things he wanted to do. Plus, it was screen time that could have been spent on other things, and I don't think they did that here. The Wakanda stuff felt natural. Spider-Man felt natural. The point I'm getting to here is Vision and Wanda's relationship felt real.
I honestly love those two.
Yeah, and I thought that like the way they made Vision from last time he was just a dude in a cape who was really weird looking. Now he's this full character.
Here's this silent weird guy just like, okay, I can hold a hammer. I will save the world.
Exactly. Now it's like, no, I'm trying to be human,
which was
but I'm
probably
not.
the best part of Age of
And it was exactly. It probably was the best part, and that was really cool to see. We like this character for one reason. Now we like him for a completely different
Him
one.
wearing like the button-up shirt with a sweater. I just couldn't handle it.
I know. A lot of people have already been joking on a couple different podcasts that we need a Vision set of casual wear.
Yes.
Like, how has Disney not made this yet? Because I would buy that whole thing. I liked him versus Hawkeye too.
Yeah.
Like Hawkeye was like, look, I cannot fight this guy, but I'm gonna try. Like,
He's been out of practice too.
yeah. What did you think of the raft appearing?
I thought it was awesome. Dave and I were talking about that.
Yeah,
on the way
like
home.
like the first time I watched the movie, I didn't quite catch that was the raft.
Yeah, they say the line once.
Once, yep.
Yeah, we're approaching the raft.
Yep. And then the second time tonight when I saw it, I was, that's the thing. Yeah.
The one thing that upsets me about this movie, and it's like a very nitpicky, nerdy thing, is I wish this could have came first before a couple other movies. It's same thing with some of the shows because like Purple Man escaping from the raft is how Jessica Jones starts. So that would have been perfect. Some of these other heroes or villains that could have explained this is where we keep them, when things go to hell. They didn't mention Ragnarok in this movie, or not Ragnarok. They didn't mention Thor 2, Dark World in this movie, which was another big event, which I'm surprised. Like, it was the only thing that happened in London in the entire movie verse. So,
Right.
I really wish this movie could have either come before, and it just couldn't. It's the way that their timeline works. I guess I couldn't, but I just really wish they would have incorporated it more with the TV verse. I haven't seen this week's episode of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I haven't either.
So I don't know. I know they're touching on it, and Inhumans, not a single Inhuman thing was mentioned. And I understand why. This movie was done a long time ago before any of this stuff has happened. Daredevil Season 2 is just storyboards. Jessica Jones wasn't even completed yet.
Right.
Luke Cage was an afterthought. Like, I get that the way this timeline works is just impossible, but they fed us this stuff about this being a shared universe. This all takes place in the same world. And while we can connect the dots,
They talk about the event in New York a little bit.
like
in the shows.
They
Yeah.
exist in the same world, but there's no real connection other than, hey, that thing that happened in New York a while back.
Right, and I thought they did a really good job in S.H.I.E.L.D. informing the movie, but the movie doesn't inform S.H.I.E.L.D. at all.
No, not at all.
Same thing with like Daredevil. I would love to see them pop up. But again, I understand logistically it's impossible, but on a comic book nerd level, I want to see these heroes together.
Because like when we watched Age of Ultron and they just pulled the helicarrier out of their ass.
Yeah.
Me and you were just, where the hell did they get that?
Right.
That night on S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, that makes sense.
Exactly, but
Cool.
no one, and it was a really cool Easter egg for people who watch both. And I wouldn't have even had this problem. I would have said, okay, I get it. Movies are for movies, TV's for TV, for this one at least. Except Tony sees footage of Spider-Man fighting in Queens and goes to check him out. Hell's Kitchen. I know Marvel's map of New York's really fucked up, and that's not really how it works, but Hell's Kitchen's not too far away there. So don't you think you would have seen footage of, I don't know, a woman practically flying, fighting a dude who can control minds, the dude in a devil costume fighting off some people? How about a guy being shot that didn't die? Or, depending on how all of this comes out when it comes to timeline-wise, a dude with iron, fiery fists fighting people in the streets. He didn't see any of those people?
No.
I guess not. He was only looking for.
He was only
young
looking
Webbers.
for guys with webs, right?
Well, the scanners can only pick up the red pajamas.
So it's just it's suspending the disbelief, just that extra amount.
Yeah.
And so it's just a little frustrating when you have all these cool characters that you want to see play with like action figures. Overall, though, we love the movie.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, again, like we talk about, it's a little bit different perspective from the Cave Trolls because we are on the ground level. We don't critique 900 movies a year. We don't get sent film copies.
So we're ground level.
Yeah,
That-
we're like Daredevil, is what I'm trying to say.
So you're Daredevil. Jordan's Luke Cage. I'm Jessica Jones.
Yes, you're just gonna.
All right.
Actually, you're more like Foggy, but not as cool.
You know, I can take that.
You know, you're more like the lady in the first episode, the real estate agent.
Okay, now you're pushing it.
No, you're the old lady that they take the first case from.
Are you talking about Mrs. Cardenas?
Yeah.
She dies.
Sorry. Foggy, no.
I come in anyway.
Come in anyway. God. Okay, so I guess I get frustrated because in the comic books, Spider-Man is a ground level hero. He's just super popular.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, like we're gonna enjoy this movie more than most people because we look at it in a critical eye, but we like to like things.
Yeah.
And we don't feel like we are beholden to having to write a full critical review. We just tell you, what we liked, what we didn't like. So we're able to like these things on a different level, but we're also able to have those super nerd arguments. Whereas, like I said, Spider-Man's ground level in the comic books. My favorite shot is that one panel where Galactus is attacking the city and him and Daredevil are powerless to stop it. So they're just like, I guess we just chill. Like Fantastic Four is up there, the Avengers are up there. I guess we just watch, and they're like eating popcorn, sitting on the fucking side of a skyscraper. But Spider-Man's so popular, he has movies. Daredevil does not.
Yeah.
Other than the one with Ben Affleck, I guess, but doesn't count. So we're never going to get that dynamic, and that's such a cool dynamic. Same thing like we're never going to get Punisher and Spidey fighting. How about Kingpin and Spidey fighting?
Right.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
It's different because Spider-Man is on the ground level, but he also is on the higher scale level.
Right,
Yeah,
but that only happened when we started to become comic book readers. Like, that was never a thing before that.
Like, it's just...
He was never part of the Avengers until New Avengers,
Right.
with Wolverine.
With Spider-Man, like, he's ground level, but he's got that super strength that allows him to take on some higher
But
targets.
that's only, again, like in the movies and like we were talking about, like, especially even with this one kind of shows it even more. He's not as strong as the other heroes. And it's just because in this world there's not a lot of superpowers, but like in the comic books, like he's not. They've slowly have ramped him up over the years, but that was a big thing. Is he's just a dude who fights crazy mass superheroes in Queens. The Rhino shows up, he's got it. Galactus shows up, he's like, "Oh, all right, Captain America, you got this." You know what I mean? And
hey,
then,
Fantastic Four, go take care of him.
as we got older, and as they got older, especially around Civil War time, is really when they started to do it, because that's when he joined up New Avengers and stayed at Avengers Tower and stuff. That's when they started showing him being more on these big level events. But even Daredevil, which is actually probably seen to be more effective than Spider-Man, at least in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're never going to see him on that level. Well, this never is a strong word, but at least not until like Infinity War Part 2 when they need people on screen.
Yeah. So I was wondering, where do you think the direction they're going to go is with like the relationship between Tony and Steve now?
I mean, I think it's going to be tertiary at most.
Yeah, do you think they're going to come back and be buddy-buddy the next movie they're in?
No, I definitely think this is going to last longer than the last of their feuds. Like I said, it's going to be secondary. Tony's going to get an Iron Man 4. They already talked about like him saying he wants to do another one. And Jon Favreau wants to come back and do another one. I think it'd be really cool to see those two team up again. They know they fucked up on Iron Man 2. We can get another good Iron Man movie. Yeah. Not that I didn't love Shane Black's take on Iron Man 3. I thought that was awesome. But I think we are going to see exactly what Steve did. Like, everyone's underground now. Yeah. And I think that's going to be how we get to see those little moments with him and Daredevil. If they even do that, is you're going to see those Defenders kind of hanging out with him at least at the end of Infinity War Part 1 maybe, or Infinity War Part 2.
Right.
Because now they're setting up all these other heroes, and I think those are going to be the main team. Because Tony's the only one that's good in the eye of the law.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like that relationship is going to be fucked up forever. So if they get an Iron Man 4 movie, it's probably going to be him forming his own Avengers. But since Steve went underground,
Sunspot, right?
Yeah. What'd you say? Sunspot?
We get Sunspot for the other side, right?
I don't think we can get Sunspot. I think he's in the X-Men.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get that underground scene from Civil War. I think like the comic book Civil War.
Yeah.
Where Steve's and everyone else are vigilantes now.
Right.
Whereas an Iron Man can get the new heroes like Doctor Strange. He can get Miss Marvel, or I guess she'll probably show up as Captain Marvel. They probably won't go the whole Miss Marvel thing first. Who else am I missing? Black Panther again. Even though he's friends with Steve now, he's still
but
has
it's more on the hush hush.
Exactly. So I think we're still gonna see the mixed dynamic in two different teams.
What do you think is going to happen when Hulk comes back?
And I think that really depends on what they do with Ragnarok, because he's in that, and that's supposed to be kind of backdooring World War Hulk.
Right.
So he might honestly be the antagonist of Infinity War Part 1 mixed with Thanos and Death, probably. That's at least my theory on it. I think that makes the most sense.
And then that's when Deadpool makes a crossover too.
They say they want to do it, but I think that's a topic for another day. Is there anything else you guys want to say? Final thoughts? You liked it?
I liked it. I liked how they did the sequences where they said, "Oh, like now we're in London, or now we're in Queens," and just kind of showed it based.
Yeah, it didn't try to make you buy, oh, they're just traveling around the world. Like, how the hell did they do that fast? It was different characters.
Yep.
And it showed different points in time. I thought they did it well. My weakest link was Baron Zemo, but they had to be. Again, like, everyone gets mad about the villains in these movies. It's not called Baron Zemo. It's called Captain America.
Right. And I loved Baron Zemo.
I thought he was a really good villain. They didn't have time to show him do much more.
Right. Yeah, I loved him as a villain. It's just there were a couple things in his plans that had to go on like pure coincidence.
It was the Joker villainy.
Yeah.
Oh, like Dark Knight. We're like, okay, so did you give everyone a pamphlet to work this out? How did this come out this perfectly if this is what you wanted? But I did love that line with Martin Freeman at the end. Like, it didn't work? Are you sure about that? You sure it didn't fail?
Yeah.
Because looks like you don't have Avengers anymore.
Like, as soon as Martin Freeman said that, I was automatically saying, did it though?
And I like that because he's going to be set up to be. He's more of an antagonist than comic books.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they're going to go with Black Panther a little bit more diplomatic.
It also reminds me a little bit like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty.
Yeah, definitely. Like, are you sure you won? Because I think I did.
Yeah.
And I that was my other point is Zemo is not done. This is the first part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I could see him kind of becoming a bigger villain after Thanos or to involve more. Just another callback, another villain to show up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Helmut. You know what I mean? Like, we fought him
get
once
the
before.
Thunderbolts.
I would. Oh God, the Thunderbolts. Because you got Winter Soldier. How cool would it be if Phase 5 is like Agent Venom, Red Hulk, Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Baron Zemo? God, come on, man!
It
How
was so cool.
awesome would that be?
Or they split it off from Phase 5 and have two like separate things going on Phase 5 with all like those
Right.
characters.
There is one last thing that I want to talk
Okay,
about.
cool. This is your one last
Yep.
thing.
Okay. Like, when this movie was like coming out,
Mhm.
is it just me or was it being billed as one of these heroes is going to die?
I
Like,
think
what
that was
was-
more hype.
Because I swear there was like a big rumor going around. That,
Oh, rumors, yes, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's hype.
It wasn't anything like Joss Whedon saying like, oh, like there's at least 3 people going to die in
Right.
this film.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't anything like that. Nothing in the ad showed anybody dying.
Mm-hmm.
None of their press releases, none of the characters were like, yeah, and that character death. No one did that. That was purely fan speculation that snowballed.
Right. And I got tied up in it.
Right, but also, you're reading Civil War right now. We've read Civil War. We know people die.
I also know people die because spoilers. And
Exactly, but that's what I mean. Like, we combine that all together. That's
Yeah.
when we get the speculation, and that's when we're surprised that no one died.
And then Thor from Thor Ragnarok kills who was it? It was
The Clone Thor?
yeah.
Yeah. The one that Tony built.
Yep.
Really
Yep.
weird. Have you gotten to that point in the story?
I did read a little tidbit
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, the clone of Thor is a little weird, but overall I think it was a good adaptation, and it's exactly that. It's an adaptation. This is just Civil War, not purely a namesake. It had the same tones, it had the same elements.
Yeah, it touched on some really big points in it.
And this is the MCU's version of the Civil War. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another version of this story in the MCU eventually, with more heroes showing up in a different kind of
Having it
event.
be a bigger all-out war.
I honestly think that we could see a Civil War 2, different than the Civil War 2 that's happening in the comics, but still...
Them having to
think.
tighten up the accords to account for all these different heroes.
Right, and if they ever do the Inhumans movie and stuff like that, you could call it, Avengers Civil War 2. That could be the first Avengers film we get past Infinity War. You know what I
Right.
mean? I see that as a possibility. So let us know what you think in the comments below. If you completely disagree with us, if you hate us, if you want to flog us with tomatoes.
It's happened before.
Yeah, so many times. Just no more raw tomatoes, all right? And,
Rutabagas.
cooked, soften them up a little bit. It's harder to clean out when they smack you. We are at Cagel's Cast on the Twitter. I'm at Resident Stevel.
At David Tulgetske.
And you're
At Extraordinary.
at Extra Jordan. I'm never going to get over that. You can email us, cagelscast@gmail.com. You can find us on the Instagram, the Facebooks, all of those things. Check out all of our other content. Check us out over at YouTube. And, just in general, send us some mail. Review us on iTunes, though, too. That helps out a lot. And we're the Cagel's Cast, and we're out.
Bye.
What are you still doing here?
What are you still doing here?
Guys,
go.
I think they left.
Go on, get.
Go on now, get.
Are you fanning them? We need those fans.